Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is April the 25th, 2025, and we're going to be taking a look at the scriptures, Isaiah 44, 6 through 8. This is also going to be a correction from a previous video. But before we look into those scriptures, we have to do a couple of word studies because I need to make sure you have the same understanding of the words that I do when we go into the scriptures. And then there are some that were misinterpreted as well. So we'll do a couple. I'm not sure if I'm going to do 2 or 3 at this. My plan is to do 2 separate word studies, and then the third word study I will probably include as part of the study. I'm not sure. Yeah. But for sure we have 2 word studies, and then we'll see what happens before we go into the actual scriptures. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at H3808 and H369. H3808 is the word no or not, as we are familiar, that we're most familiar with in our language. Similar to when we've spoken of it in terms of math before. Where you have your number line and you have, say, a +1, but then you have a -3. Well, you don't just subtract 3. It's actually the opposite on the number line. So instead of a +3, you go to the opposite end of the number line, and it's a -3. So it's really a plus. You have a +1 plus a -3, and then you come to your equation. So it's it's the opposite of sum, basically. It's the opposite of a definite number. It turns into a negative. Whereas the H369, it means none. For instance, if I say there are no apples, there would have to be a qualifier in order for you to understand specifically that I mean H369, unless it's in context, of course. If I say we have no apples, or let me change that. There are no apples. You know that there are apples, so it cannot be this. Because there are no apples means there are the opposite of apples. There are no apples at all. But of course there are. So it has to be this. In meaning, I don't have any apples. This means none. I don't have any apples, and you usually can find a qualifier. Sometimes you'll have to read it in context, but usually you'll find something like, I have no apples in my refrigerator, or I have no apples in the cupboard. Because this word doesn't mean the opposite. It means there are some elsewhere. It always means that there are others elsewhere. Always. Because if there weren't any, you would use this word. To use this word means there are definitely apples somewhere else, but there are no apples in my cupboard. So, those are the definitions of the word. We'll take a look real quick at what it says in our definitions here. And then we'll go ahead and look at our examples. Don't worry about this because it looks strange, but this is not interpreted correctly. These words make very little sense when you read them logically. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but when you read them logically, I mean, translated, it may seem to make sense, but when you try to read it out, it just doesn't make any sense. This verse here gave me, it took a lot of study in order to get through. Literally, I'm going through like word by word, and every time I cleared up one word, I ran into another problem which messed up the logic of the verse. It just didn't work. But we've made it through. There is one question which I have left unsolved, but I believe I've got a very good explanation for it. And if you speak if you speak Hebrew, you might be able to solve it without me. But so this is not absolute prohibition. So there's absolutely none with modifier negation, the negative, without or before time. So not. This is our most common use for the word. And then this, we would commonly use none. But none doesn't always work, so we also use no. Okay, my computer is moving very slow. Nothing, nah, not. Nothing, to have not. Of possession. See, in our possession, we have none. Without, for lack of. Anyway, so let's go on to our first verse. Nay, my sons, for it is not good report that I hear. Ye make the Lord's people to transgress. So it is not is the opposite of good. So it is a bad report that I hear. You make the Lord's people to transgress. Hold on a minute. Okay. Let's go on. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination against Israel. According to this time it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath God wrought? Both of these are the opposite. There is absolutely no enchantment against Jacob. It still has a qualifier here, but it's using the absolute form of the opposite. So this is none, enchantment, and then it gives you the qualifier. So there are enchantments, but absolutely none against Jacob. Neither is there any divination against Israel. And said, O Lord God of Israel, there is no God like thee in the heaven nor in the earth, which keepest covenant and shows mercy unto thy servants, and walk before thee with all their hearts. We know that there are other gods. The Bible tells you all the time about the other gods. Satan, the definition of a god, we can go there real quick. Let me mark this. We'll just look at it real quick. I think it's been a minute since we looked at it. So, here we are. Let me just mark this for my own convenience here. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. So, the first thing that God said when he said, let's create him in our likeness, is he talked about what kind of likeness they would have. The likeness is they're going to have a dominion, which no other man had previously had. Let's make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. That's what makes you a god. That's why the word king is so close to the word gods or something. I can't remember exactly, but we went over it in that video on blessings, curses, gods of the nations or something like that. We went over it in there, and the previous video too. We talked about it in both those videos. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. He could have stopped there, but he said he blessed them. That's the first thing he did. He blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And then what happened? He told them, he made them into the gods that he had established up here. And replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. It's the only definition of God that we found thus far. Everything else is just made up in our minds. This says specifically, we're going to make them in our likeness, and then he goes on to tell you what the likeness is. And then it's repeated down here. First he tells them to replenish the earth. That was most important to him. So God can replicate. He tells them to replenish the earth. So God can replicate him. Well, we know he can replenish the earth. Okay, I'll just say it in the same words, because there's us. Okay, no one else can do that, I guess, but God can. He lists that first, but that doesn't make you a god, because that's not mentioned at all up here. What made him in the image of God is the dominion. So let's go back. So I said, O Lord God of Israel, there is none God like thee. So there are other gods. It would have been no God if there weren't any other gods. But instead, there's no God, none other God like thee, in the heaven nor in the earth, which keepeth covenant and showeth mercy unto thy servants, and walk before thee with all their hearts. When heaven is shut up and there is no rain, because they have sinned against thee, if they pray toward this place and confess thy name and turn from their sin when thou afflictest them. This is Solomon, I believe it's King Solomon praying, dedicating the temple. And he says, when heaven is shut up and there is no rain, the opposite of rain, no one has rain. That's what he's saying. Heaven has been shut up completely because they've sinned against you. Even so would he have removed thee out of the strait into a broad place where there is no straightness, and that which should be set on thy table should be full of fatness. I don't remember the context for this, but he moved him to a safe place where he doesn't have to be concerned. But I cannot remember the context for this verse, sorry. Wherefore now, let the fear of the Lord be upon you. Take heed and do it, for there is no iniquity with the Lord our God, nor respect of persons, nor taking of gifts. I think with the way that this reads, I think it'll read better in Scriptures for All. 2 Chronicles 19, verse 7. Okay. And now he shall be awe of Yahweh on you, upon you. Be on guard, you, take heed, and do you that there is no with Yahweh, the Elohim of us. And then it begins to list everything. So it's telling you that outside, iniquity, impartiality, and here, iniquity, respecter of person, and taking of gifts, all of those things exist in the world, but not within Yahweh. But it's clearer when you read it this way, because the no is directed toward God, as opposed to no iniquity. Okay, so let's go ahead. Alrighty, so let's continue on. To show that the Lord is upright, he is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. No, the opposite of some. So, there is absolutely none in him. Again, it has a qualifier. I also believe right now that rock is the Godhead. I found a couple of scriptures where I can't separate Jesus from the rock in this study, and I think it's the Godhead now. And I'm going to present that as part of my study. The Godhead being God the Father, and then Jesus right after him, the created Son, his only begotten Son. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. For the sole of the foot, even unto the head, there is none soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not, the opposite, been closed. They're open, neither bound up, and neither mollified with ointment. Let's see, I think hopefully we're almost done. Yeah, we got like 4 left. I think we get it, but I'll go ahead and do these last 4 anyway. And every plant of the field, therefore, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord God had not, the opposite, caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. Now, I don't know if it's right or not. I had just heard that, there's a teaching that Adam was not the first created man, so I just went to that when I saw that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I didn't research it or anything like that. I just put that out as an option, that man was created first, and then man was created in the image of God and given dominion over the earth. But I don't know if that's correct. But here you have, it's not the opposite of, I'll read it for you again. Well, not all of it. For the Lord God had not, the opposite of caused it to rain. There had never been rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. So there was none man to till the ground. So there was a man. It could have been a man in heaven. It could have been a man somewhere else. I've just opened myself up to the possibility that Adam was not the first man created, but I don't know what that means. I didn't research it. But there was a man. There was a man. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither hath he kept back anything from me, but thee. Because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Oh, this is Joseph. Is it Jacob or Joseph? I can't remember. When he is Joseph. Okay. There is none greater in this house than I, neither have he kept back anything from me but thee. There's none greater. There's many greater, but none as great as him. There's many that are great, but none as great as him. neither has he kept back anything. He's given him everything. Or the opposite of kept back. He's given him everything. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies, and for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Okay, I'm having problems reading now, so let's see. We've got 3. I'm just going to read through them real quick, but you can see here real quick. No is the opposite, and then this is none. Behold, I cry out of wrong, but I am not heard. I cry aloud, but there is no judgment, or none judgment. Reproach has broken, I think this is the last one. We're just reading through them now because I think the point is made. Reproach has broken my heart, and I am full of heaviness. And I looked for some to take pity, but there was none, and for comforters, but I found not any. So that's all of the examples that I have. And we will do another word study in the next video. If this comes up, I could probably tell you what it is. Okay, well, never mind. It'll be a surprise. I'll talk with you in the next video.